When I think about civilizations, I think about something that struck me very deeply. It's not complicated, but it's kind of profound when you really look at it. Here's the thing. Imagine the universe has been around for, what, 13.8 billion years. And in all that time, all those billions of years, different civilizations have been appearing and disappearing. Some here, some there, scattered across the galaxy. Now, the question is, where is everybody? And I mean that seriously. It's been bothering me for a long time. We look up at the sky. The night sky is crowded with stars. Really crowded. Billions of them. And we think, well, surely somebody else should be out there. It seems obvious, doesn't it? But you see, that's where our intuition fails us. Human intuition evolved for hunting animals on the African savanna. It evolved so we could survive. It did not evolve to understand cosmic scales. When you take that human intuition and apply it to the size of the universe, it doesn't just fail. It snaps. It breaks apart completely. Let me explain what I mean. I'm going to talk about something called the arrival. It's this metaphor, you see, about civilizations in space. Imagine a party, a cosmic party where guests are supposed to arrive at certain times. Now, the obvious assumption is that if you show up to a party and there are other people there, you'll have a conversation. You'll have fun. But what happens if everyone arrives at different times? What if one group arrives at 8 p.m. and another doesn't show up until 8 a.m. the next morning? They never meet. That's the problem. The tragedy of the universe isn't that it's empty. Think about that. It's not that space is empty. The tragedy is that the party guests are arriving at different times. They're missing each other completely. Now, let me be very clear about why this is happening. There are several things working against us, and these aren't just engineering problems. These are fundamental physical barriers. Einstein showed us that nothing can go faster than light. That's not a suggestion. That's not something we'll overcome with better rockets. It's a law of the universe. Light travels at 300,000 kilometers per second. The nearest star to us is about 4 light years away. That means light itself takes 4 years to get there. If we wanted to send a spacecraft there in 40 years, we'd need to accelerate to a significant fraction of light speed. Then we'd need to decelerate when we arrive. Think about the fuel requirement for that. You see, there's something called the rocket equation. It was figured out by a Russian fellow, Tsiolkovsky, back in 1903. And it's brutal. It tells us that to accelerate a spacecraft, you need fuel. But that fuel has mass. To accelerate the fuel, you need more fuel. And that fuel has mass. So the requirement grows exponentially. Even a hypothetical civilization millions of years ahead of us would face this same limitation. The laws of physics apply everywhere. They don't take special exceptions. But let me go deeper than just the distance problem. There's another issue, and this is where it gets interesting. Let's say a civilization figures out how to send radio signals into space. They start broadcasting. They're saying, "Hello, is anybody out there?" But here's the thing. Maybe nobody's listening yet. Maybe another civilization hasn't developed radio receivers. Maybe that civilization is still in the Stone Age. The signal passes right through their solar system and they never detect it. And by the time they eventually develop the technology to receive, the civilization that was broadcasting might be dead, extinct, finished. This is what I mean by the timing problem. Detection requires perfect alignment. You need the right location. You need the right frequency. You need the right moment in time. A civilization might transmit long before another one develops receivers, or signals arrive after extinction. And civilizations don't last forever, not like the universe lasts. Now, let's talk about how long civilizations actually persist. Humanity has been technological for about 200 years. 200 years. For 13.8 billion years, the universe has existed, and we've been doing science and engineering for 200 years. Even if we last for thousands of years, and that's optimistic. Thousands of years is a fraction, a tiny, insignificant fraction of the age of the galaxy. Do you understand? The galaxy is 13 billion years old. We're here for 10,000 years at best. That's like showing up to a theater for the last 3 seconds of a movie that's been playing for a century. I compared it once to fireflies blinking in a forest. Imagine a dark forest, and there are millions of fireflies all over the place. But each firefly blinks on a different night. One night this firefly is blinking, and another night, miles away, a different firefly blinks. They never see each other. They flash light, but the timing is all wrong. Even though the whole forest should be bright with fireflies, They miss each other completely because of the timing. That's us. That's all the civilizations in the universe. Now, I want to talk about something else that's crucial, something that cuts even deeper. Let me ask you a question. If all scientific knowledge were destroyed in some cataclysm, all of it gone, and you could pass on only one sentence to whatever creatures emerged after, only one sentence, what would you pass on? What one statement would contain the most information in the fewest words? I'll tell you what I'd choose. I'd choose this. All things are made of atoms. Little particles that move around in perpetual motion, attracting each other when they are far apart, but repelling when squeezed together. That one sentence. That's it. If I had to pass one thing forward to save civilization from scratch, it would be that. Now, you might not think that's so remarkable, but think about it. From that single idea, from understanding atoms, you can begin to ask questions. You can begin to do experiments. You can rebuild chemistry. From chemistry, you can build up to understand materials, to understand how things work. Eventually, you can rebuild physics. You can rebuild engineering. You can rebuild everything. It's like a seed, a tiny seed that unpacks into the entire tree of civilization. But here's the warning I want to give you. Here's where the real problem comes in. Imagine a civilization that developed all this knowledge. They discovered atoms. They discovered relativity. They figured out electricity. They built cities. They had technology. And then something goes wrong. War, disease, catastrophe. The knowledge doesn't survive. And I don't just mean libraries burned down. I mean the understanding dies. The people who knew how to do things, they're gone. Their apprentices never learned. The chain breaks. What's left? Ruins. Broken technology that nobody understands. People looking at machines and having no idea how they work. Some ancient civilization builds a lighthouse or an aqueduct, and thousands of years later, people see it and assume it must be magic. It must be from the gods. They've lost the thread of understanding. This is my warning. Knowledge is fragile, incredibly fragile. It looks solid when you're in the middle of it. You look around at all our technology, all our science, and it seems permanent. It seems like something that can't be lost, but it can. A single generation that doesn't pass on the knowledge, and it's gone. The scientific method, the careful reasoning, the willingness to doubt, to question, to do experiments, these things are not natural to humans. They had to be invented. They had to be learned. They're precious. And when I think about civilizations arriving at different times in the universe, I think about this. Because what good is arriving if there's no understanding? What good is reaching a certain level of technology if you lose the knowledge of how to maintain it? You have these incredible machines, but they break down and you can't fix them. You have electricity, but nobody remembers how to generate it. You have antibiotics, but you've lost the ability to make them. That's why the arrival is so dangerous for a dead civilization. You might get visitors from space. You might make contact with other beings. But if your civilization has lost its grip on understanding, if you've lost the scientific method, if you've lost the foundation of knowledge, then what? You can't learn from them. You can't build on what they teach you. You're stuck. Let me tell you something else. We are remarkably good at taking things for granted. You walk into a building and there's light. You flip a switch. You don't think about the power plants, the distribution systems, the physics of electromagnetism that makes it all work. You eat food and you don't think about agriculture, about soil chemistry, about how we learn to grow enough food to feed billions of people. You use medicine and you take for granted that we understand disease, that we understand bacteria and viruses, that we can cure infections. All of this, asterisk, all of it, asterisk, depends on maintaining a chain of understanding. Someone has to know how to make the antibiotics. Someone has to know how to operate the power plant. Someone has to understand the science. Break that chain and everything collapses. Collapses. Within a generation or two, you're back to the Stone Age. Not because you lose the technology itself, but because you lose the knowledge to use it, to maintain it, to advance it. And here's something I've thought about long and hard. Civilizations don't necessarily fail because of external causes. Sometimes, yes, a comet hits, a plague wipes everyone out. But sometimes civilizations fail because they stop valuing knowledge. They stop asking questions. They stop teaching the young people to reason, to doubt, to experiment. They get comfortable. They think, well, we know all the important things now. We can just maintain what we have. But the universe doesn't work that way. Knowledge is like a river. It's constantly flowing. If you stop the flow, it stagnates and dies. So when I talk about the arrival of advanced visitors to a dead civilization, I'm not just talking about aliens showing up. I'm talking about a civilization that has arrived at a certain level of technology, but has become intellectually dead. It has the machines, but not the understanding. It has the tools, but not the knowledge of how they were made. It can operate ancient systems, but it can't repair them. It can't improve them. It can't grow. This is why I worry. This is why it matters. Look, the universe is probably full of civilizations. But here's my guess. Most of them are dead. Not because they were destroyed, but because they lost the will to understand. They built something magnificent, and then they forgot why. They forgot how. They forgot what it feels like to be curious, to ask a question, to not know the answer, and to want to find out. That curiosity, that drive to understand, that's what makes a civilization alive. That's what separates a culture of knowledge from a collection of ruins. The arrival that should concern us isn't the arrival of aliens. It's the arrival of the next generation of humans on this planet. Are we going to teach them to think? Are we going to teach them the excitement of science, the joy of discovery, the necessity of doubt? Or are we going to give them a world of machines they don't understand, surrounded by instruction manuals they can't read? Here's what I want you to understand. Every time a teacher stops teaching a student to reason, every time someone says, "Don't ask why, just do what I say," every time we replace understanding with obedience, every time we accept something because we're told to believe it, not because we've tested it and confirmed it ourselves, every time this happens, we're killing the thing that makes a civilization live. A dead civilization can have all the technology in the world. It can have monuments and machines and power stations and medicines. But if the people don't understand them, if they can't fix them, if they can't improve them, if they can't ask questions about how they work, then that civilization is already dead. It's just a walking corpse maintaining relics it doesn't comprehend. The question I have for you is this: which will our civilization be? Will we be the kind that maintains understanding, that passes knowledge down, that teaches people to ask questions and seek answers? Or will we be the kind that loses the thread, that forgets what it took to build what we have, that arrives at the level of technological sophistication but becomes intellectually deceased? The warning is this: the arrival of advanced knowledge, of sophisticated technology, of comfort and convenience. None of that means your civilization is alive. It only means you've built a nice tomb, a beautiful mausoleum, impressive on the outside, but empty within. That's my warning about the arrival. It's not about aliens visiting. It's about this. What happens when a civilization has everything but understands nothing? What happens when you arrive at technological sophistication but have lost the curiosity to maintain it? That's when a civilization is truly dead, and it doesn't even know it.